See, the whole thing with this thing on the Mets is, the first thing we're going to say is it has nothing to do with the Mets. Absolutely whatsoever. It's not a Mets thing. It's a Mr. Porter thing. Okay? There's a difference between being 19 years old, talking to someone else that's 19 or somewhere around the age range, and sending sexual images when it is condoned, when the person is playing along and going with it, okay? Because at some point in time, people watching this may deny it, but at some point in time, you most likely have done something similar with somebody, okay? It becomes a problem when it's unsolicited. It's not asked for, and it continues, and it continues. Could you imagine sending 60 messages to somebody without them responding at all in between 60 messages? How much of a jackass you look like. Okay, we're going to talk about the Mets firing their general manager, unsolicited sexual pictures as well, and harassment. They fired their general manager today. I'll tell you what I think and what it was so... There's fooling around, there's sexual energy, and then there's sexual harassment. This right here is not okay. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to try to start doing more videos like this. This right here, we're going to be talking about the New York Mets general manager, Jared Porter, is under the water today. Well, not even so much out of the water, he just doesn't have a job. And after all of this, he doesn't deserve to have a job. Okay, Jared Porter is the Mets general manager, and he has come out to sending explicit, unsolicited texts and images to a female reporter in 2016, culminating with a picture of his erect penis, according to a copy of the text history obtained by ESPN. Okay, so we'll give you a little bit of background here. This woman was a foreign correspondent. She had moved to the United States to cover Major League Baseball. Okay. She said at one point she ignored more than 60 messages from Porter before he sent the final lewd photo. Okay, first we're going to pause here. Okay, why could you imagine? Okay, and I'm one of those people that have double texted and triple texted. Never in my life have I sent 60 consecutive messages. And the worst part about it is before we even get into anything, the worst part about all of that is that if you are sending somebody 60 messages and they have not responded to a single one, first off, that's harassment, okay? Not only is it harassment, you have a problem, okay? Why can't you leave this person alone? Okay, that's what we get from the beginning. 60 messages to anybody, okay? It doesn't matter what it's about. If you're sending 60 messages to someone and the first 59 were not replied to, you probably should stop sending messages, okay? Regardless, the text relationship started casually before Porter, then the Chicago Cubs director of professional scouting, began complimenting her appearance, inviting her to meet him in various cities and asking why she was ignoring him. And the text shows she had stopped responding to Porter after he sent a photo of his pants featuring a bulge in the groin area. For those of you that don't know, that is one way of somebody trying to send you a explicit picture without actually sending the picture, okay? As far as these pictures go, I saw that one. I didn't have any interest in seeing anything else because why would I want to see that? Why would anybody want to see that? Okay. So what happened before then, we don't know. But after she saw that photo, she most likely got uncomfortable. Okay. And keep in mind, this is a woman. We don't know how well her English is. We don't know all of this and all of that. She was new to the country. Okay. She stated that she was from a different country, and you know how different countries have different rules as to how they treat women, and so on and so forth. Okay, she was from a different country, and she probably got uncomfortable and did not know how to handle it. Anyways, Porter continued texting her anyway, because fuck it, why not? He sent dozens of messages despite the lack of response. On August 11, 2016, a day after asking her to meet him at a hotel, he sent the woman 17 pictures. And this is where he did his desperation attempt to get attention, okay? He sent pictures of the hotel. Now, this is a key point. The first 15 photos were of the hotel and his restaurants. The 16th was the same picture of the bulge in his pants, and the 17th was his family jewels. Okay. Why would he do something like that? He did that because he wanted to catch her attention. This is just my personal opinion. He did that because he wanted to catch her attention. Okay, and he wanted to catch her attention to seeing the hotel and scrolling all the way down because he wanted her to see what she didn't want to see. ESPN reached him on Monday evening as of yesterday. Porter acknowledged texting with the woman. He initially said he had not sent any pictures of himself. When told, oh my goodness, I lost my spot. When told the exchanges show he had sent selfies and other pictures, he said that the more explicit ones are not of me. Those are like kind of like jock stock images. Okay. Well, we're going to pause right here first. Okay. Dealing with somebody like this, anybody that has, or you can just sense the BS that's in the air, the energy of the BS, okay? Of course he's going to deny it. Why would somebody who knows they're dead wrong where they're at right now, why would they acknowledge those type of explicit pictures? Because in all honesty, in theory, they can't prove that they're him, but no guy is sending explicit pictures to a woman that is not him. Okay? So he denies that. Those are kind of like joke stock images. Okay? So this guy's already a jackass, all right? And we can already tell by like 3 paragraphs in, right? Asking whether ESPN was planning to run a story, he asked more time before later declining further comment. On Tuesday morning, the Mets fired him. The tweet from the owner, Steve Cohen, said, "In my initial press conference, I spoke about the importance of integrity and I meant it." Cohen tweeted, "There should be zero tolerance for this type of behavior." Yes, absolutely not. If you are sending unsolicited pictures, sexual unsolicited pictures, and you don't get any type of response, or the person doesn't play along with it, okay, because everybody has a different thing, and I'm not going to sit here and say, well, you shouldn't send this, shouldn't send that. Everybody has a different way of how they go about something like this, okay? But if you are sending, and this is from any walk of life, if you are sending somebody unsolicited sexual pictures, okay, and you feel like, maybe you feel like that's the type of energy that's there and you send one, okay, whatever. But if you consistently send them and they're unsolicited and they vibe and the energy into that is not there, the person is ignoring it, not listening, any of that, that's sexual harassment. Well, he already passed the harassment mark by 60 messages, okay? Because even at my most desperate moment, I've never sent anybody 60 messages ever in my entire life, okay? Because let's stop. December 17, ESPN obtained the messages after being alerted. They reached out to the woman, interviewed her, and was prepared to report by the allegations, but did not do so after the woman concluded her career would be harmed if the story emerged. And that's another problem. People that are in, I guess, the limelight or so on and so forth, that have made it far, are afraid to speak out sometimes because they feel that their job that they've worked so desperately hard for their whole entire life is now in jeopardy. Okay. And this guy, most likely, from what I know, had some type of power over him. And he was using that leverage. Okay, it's one thing to call her pretty, ask to hang out, okay, but this guy, from what we've seen on here, took it from level A to level B to this is not cool, okay? ESPN kept periodically in contact with a woman who since has left journalism. In recent days, she's decided to speak up on the condition of anonymity because she fears backlash in her home country. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. My number one motivation is I want to prevent this from happening to someone else. She told ESPN through an interpreter. Obviously, he's in a much greater position of power. I want to prevent that from happening again. The other thing is I never really got the notion that he was truly sorry. I know in the U.S. there is women's empowerment movement, but in my home country, it's still far behind. The woman said, women get dragged through the mud if your name is associated with any type of sexual scandal. Women are the ones who get fingers pointed at them. I don't want to go through the victimization process again. I don't want other people to blame me. Okay. So you can completely understand where this woman is coming from, okay? Because the United States has their rules, but we know that in different countries, different, women are looked at, or not necessarily frowned upon, but they have different types of rules and regulations that go towards them, okay? Where in this situation, okay, she came to the country, but she didn't want information being leaked out because, again, people in another country, they have their ways about how they're set in certain countries, not all countries, have their ways in which how the rules and regulations go towards women, okay, and presumably we don't know this woman technically or where she's from, and she will probably remain anonymous as long as she possibly can, unless her name gets leaked out there, and she doesn't want to jeopardize that, and you can understand that, okay, and this is one of those things, again, where we see people in power using their power for an awful advantage. And it's something like this. It happens all the time. It's happened so many times in the past. People of higher power who use that power to their advantage, but they don't use it for the right reasons. Something like this is disgusting. okay? It's not even the sexual pics that are disgusting. It's the fact that he went about it the way that he did. It was unsolicited. She didn't want it. She didn't know what to do about it. And he kept going and going until eventually he stopped. And luckily, the statement was made today when they fired him, which they rightfully had to do. Okay. Let's see what else here. In a statement to ESPN on Monday night, Mets president Sandy Alderson said the organization would review the facts and follow up. I've spoken with him regarding the events we were made aware of tonight. He acknowledged to me his serious error in judgment, has taken responsibility, expressed remorse, and previously apologized for his actions. The Mets take these matters very seriously, so on and so forth. 3 other people interviewed by ESPN said they saw or were told of the text at the time. The messages provided a portrait of an executive on the move, a reporter working with a limited grasp of the English language and American customs, and how seemingly friendly banter ended in a lewd, unsolicited photo. Okay. So clearly what happened was he, again, took advantage of someone who, I'm not going to say didn't know better, but someone who is not as familiar with the... it's hard to explain it. He took advantage of somebody who was not... I'm trying to find the way to explain this. He took advantage of... Let's see what it says here. Somebody who didn't have much of a grasp on the English language, was new to the country, was learning different things. He took advantage of someone in a lesser position who wasn't as aware of how to react with certain things. And that's the problem, okay? It's one thing to do it to anybody, but he took advantage of her because he was in a higher power, and shame on him for that. He began texting her the afternoon they met before the day was over, asked her 3 times to get a drink. Okay, it's the very first time you talk to this girl and you're already hopping on it. The woman said she agreed to meet him because she thought he was volunteering himself as a source and expected they would discuss baseball. So they were obviously on 2 different wavelengths. Okay, Mr. Porter over here had an alternate agenda of getting with this reporter, and she looked at it as, oh, okay, we're going to talk more about work and how I can further boost my career and acquiring a taste for what I'm going to need to do in this job and helping me along the way. And she says, if I had a better understanding, not just of the language, but the culture, I definitely would have realized sooner what was going on, the woman told ESPN. And that's not her fault whatsoever. Again, everybody comes from a different culture. Everybody comes from a different understanding and different beliefs. But we can tell you, miss, whoever you are, that what he did was 100% wrong. And it may have not started that way, but it got there pretty fast. If you look at these text messages as well, you see one here on, well, I don't have it here, but it says, you're so pretty. Do you have a boyfriend yet? You know, things like that. Why are you asking if she has a boyfriend when you guys are just mutual coworkers and you just started talking? Not even so much that, the picture of him, so on and so forth. I kept texting her again. She reached out to her again and again and again. He sent a selfie and said, it can be me. You're so pretty. Do you have a boyfriend yet? He sent a selfie and said, it can be me. The woman responded with shorthand, indicating laughter. So as you can tell, she's uncomfortable, but she's going on with it. She said yes to a lot of these because she thought it would be awkward to say no. Okay. I didn't think of where it would progress. Porter sent 3 pictures. The first of several show a man lying on a bed with his bowls in his pants. We talk about that. The woman was confused. He asked if she liked the picture. She laughed again and texted yes. Now, he probably took this as, this is where, you know, you can't defend what he's done. But this is where you look at when you do something like that and a reporter just goes on with it and says yes, he's taking that as a massive green light. Okay. She didn't realize the intention of the photo. You're not married, she asked. Once she recognized the sexual nature of the bed picture, she resolved to cut off communication. Okay, so that was the point where she got completely uncomfortable with everything going on. And she decided, you know, a lot of times when someone just gets really uncomfortable with something like that, they won't even address it. They'll just disappear. And that's what she did. And Mr. Porter didn't handle that too well because he would go on to send 62 unanswered texts, 7 photos between July 19th and August 10th, the day before a final flurry from Los Angeles that included the nude photo. He first unanswered text said he was not married. He followed up, which picture do you like the most? Want to see more? Question mark, question mark. 5 hours. Hello. After 90 minutes, is it too much for you? Where did you go? I'm bored at 2:00 a.m. Am I annoying you? The pattern of unsolicited text messages without response continued for weeks. Okay, that is the worst form of harassment that you could possibly come across. Weeks? Weeks? Later that day, he stopped returning her texts, or returning his texts. He said, "Are you mad? Are you mad?" This goes on forever, folks. At 2:44 a.m., "I want to see you." 7 hours later, "Do you want to see me?" At some point in time, this guy has to get to the point of his head that she's not interested. She's uncomfortable. Okay? It's one thing to be consistent with somebody, but it's one thing to just completely harass them to the point where it's just really not cool. Then he gets to a point in July where he says he saw her at Wrigley Field. The woman told ESPN she felt panicky and hid from him, as she should. A day later, Porter texted, "I'll be in LA. If you want to meet there, you're missing out." And you know what the worst part about all of this is? Is that all of this is documented. She didn't respond to a single one, and he looks like a complete ass. Because that's what he is, and it's disgusting. That's really all the news I got for you today. They fired him. The texts continue to go on. Now, what happens after this, we don't know. I'm sure, this woman's going to be anonymous for as long as she possibly can be. There will probably be some point in time where, whether you like it or not, she will be revealed to the public. Hopefully not, because I don't, again, how she says about the things about her country, I wouldn't want somebody to be in the jeopardy of something like that. But yeah, this is disgusting. He definitely should be fired, and he was fired, as he should be. And proud of her for explaining herself to an extent. And yeah, he just threw his career away. And that's that, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have a fantastic day.